Hello and welcome to the second vlog with the Fuji GFX on location. Today I'm going to a local woodland near me where I'm familiar with the scenes that are available and the potential compositions, but I've just stopped for an impromptu composition on the way, and something I've noticed before, which is behind me, these bright red Cotoneaster berries with the Cotoneaster horizontalis, which has a fishbone-like shape. So the angles and the composition and the texture of the wall behind and the lichens make for some interesting shapes and colours, and particularly the reds, and let's see how well it reproduces them. So let's go back to the car, fetch the GFX and get cracking with some compositions. So I think there's potential for more than one compositions here, and one thing I am going to try and see if I can switch the Fuji's aspect ratio to the panoramic one, which might suit this so wide sprawling shrub, or even possibly the one next door, which also has a similar sort of growth habit. See whether that works or not. Let's first of all do a couple of straightforward shots. Get the lens on. You've got to extend the zoom ring to do that. Okay. And using the screen for composition at the moment. Looks quite nice. Avoid getting run down by Mr. Taurus Logistics. Some nice colours in there. I accidentally put it on drive there, and I can't move the focusing point. Okay, so I've fixed the problem of the focus point not moving by switching the camera off and on again, which is definitely not ideal really. However, we now have the ability to capture this brightly coloured shrub in an aspect ratio that fits its shape and the general area much better. So 65-24, effectively panoramic, so that's 1/85 of a second f8, and the focus point has moved itself again. Why it is doing this, I don't know. But I can move it with my finger. There we go. Let's get in a bit closer with this, a narrower composition. It's definitely easier when crouched down than using the viewfinder in these dim lighting conditions. I can't vouch for how well it will work in bright conditions. And let's get in a bit closer still. Try another composition. Okay, so these are shutter speeds at around 60th, 70th, 80th of a second. Let's try what it's like with the viewfinder. Alright, not too bad. And I can move about the focus point, which is important. I'm at f8 at the moment. Hopefully it will work. Bear in mind, of course, it only crops the JPEG, and when you bring it in, the RAW file still has all the other bits to it. So, this one, Chaitan Farm, quite a nice composition. I must admit, I do like the panoramic mode. Okay. No, we'll switch out of that now, I think. Use the quick mode. You get lots of options for ratios. So that was testing out the GFX's ability to change the aspect ratios and making some pleasant compositions, otherwise where you would then find you get extraneous things in it. And actually this wall, I'll swing you around, is very photogenic. So you've got the Cotoneaster, which is fishbone shaped. You've got the colours of the ivy and the berries of that. You've got the polypodium ferns, the ivy's in flower, there's the holly behind. So there's quite a lot in a small area of something you probably pass by, or I probably have passed by dozens or even hundreds of times. It's amazing what you can see when you get your eye in, eh? This bridge near the little village of Luxulyan in the woods, I passed by many times and never really made a photo of it. I don't think I am going to today, but if I pan over to here and we see this fallen branch, log tree, whatever, and it's got some really rather interesting fungi on it. Now, normally I probably wouldn't take this shot because it's too wide and narrow, but as I've got the Fuji with its 65-24 aspect ratio, I think that might work. And there's quite a few fungi in here. There's a lot of nice moss. So yeah, let's have a go at this. Okay, so I'll throw up that picture. That turns out reasonably well. Not sure about the depth of field. You know, it is fairly dark still here, so I would normally put the camera on a tripod. I'm just being a bit lazy, to be honest. Nice little spot actually. Difficult to find pictures though. So let's move on to my planned destination and we'll see what we find. So we're at our final destination, Luxulyan Valley, and I'm going to set up the camera and hopefully take a pixel shift multi-shot. And I've just seen there's a massive beech tree fallen over there. How sad is that? Let's swing you around and I'll show you. Wow, look at that. It's really made a mess, hasn't it? Still, that was my sort of intended shot near there somewhere, but we'll see what we can find elsewhere. There is the viaduct and all sorts of things to take pictures of here. The river, may go down to that instead. It's a beautiful, peaceful place though. Let's get the camera and get set up. So as we're walking along to the composition, I'll just put some thoughts together on the Fuji after a day or so. So one thing is they've improved on the ergonomics compared to my venerable Fuji X-T2. So things that irritated, like the 2-second timer changing itself every time you switch the camera on and off, hasn't, or rather has been fixed. The accidental adjustment of the diopter thing, that's been fixed, and in general it feels a little bit easier to use, but I'm still struggling with switching between ISO and aperture. I dare say I'll get used to that. Okay, let's stop babbling and see if we can find a composition. Okay, so I think I've got a composition set up here. So I've taken the ISO right back down to 100, the lowest it can go. I'm at f11. The composition, I'll swing you around to take you through the elements of it. It would probably be ideal to focus stack this, but I'm going to try pixel shift as well. Let's see what sort of thing we get anyway. So f11, 2.5 seconds at the moment. So I'll swing you around and show you the composition. Okay, so principal element number one, this fallen tree log. It's covered in moss, the moss and stone below it, the boulder over there to the right, the tree trunk just beyond, and also the sort of elements slightly to the left of that. So let's see if we can get this shot and whether that will come out okay, and then I'll try a pixel shift. So 2-second timer. Let's look at the back of the screen, see what we can see. Is this showing up on camera? To a certain extent. Okay, so looks fairly decent. f11, starting to be a little bit softer by the time you go further back in the scene. So let's go to f16. It should give a bit more depth of field. So it's still 2-second timer, 5 seconds now. Let's go. So there it is, quick review on the screen. See how, yeah, there's a little bit more definition in the further distance anyway. So now I'm going to try the pixel shift. Oh, I should have said, by the way, that that's a 16:9. I think it's a 16:9 aspect ratio. Pixel shift. Don't think we need to worry about the intervals because we want to make sure the camera is nice and steady. So pixel shift, 1 second interval, take the shot. So this is going to be quite a long time that I'm here, because of course it's 4 seconds plus F16. Fortunately nothing is moving. I think it's cropped it back to 4:3 again, so if you want the 16:9 crop you'd have to do that manually yourself. So as you can imagine, this is only doable in still conditions like this. If it was windy you wouldn't have a chance. Everything would be full of artifacts. Look most unpleasant. Okay, so that's done. Took some while, so I'm going to open up to F11 again, and I'm going to move the focus point a bit further back, somewhere on that log, and then I'm going to go into manual. So we're on manual, still on pixel shift. Let's see how this one comes about. So at 2 seconds rather than 4.3, so it should take half the time, but we've got 16 shots to do, so 16 twos are 30 odd seconds plus a second in between, so that would be 40 odd seconds. See if that works out. So definitely the slow and deliberate, especially in low light conditions. F8 would be 1 second, so that would take 16 seconds off the time. Should still be at around 20 seconds plus. And the light levels are declining rapidly now, so I think I will call it a day after this. I dare say you found it entertaining watching this, so I'll probably speed it up or cut bits out. Right, let's call that a day. I'll come back and try the focus bracketing again when I know what I'm doing. Huzzah! Right, let's swing you around. I'll do an outro. Okay, so this has been second on location shoot with the Fuji, a little bit more in depth this time. So we've done aspect ratio changes, we've done pixel shift, auto, we've had a stab and failed at focus bracketing, generally speaking. Yes, so that's been fun. Trying to get out again tomorrow, hopefully doing street photography or urban photography anyway, and see whether the Fuji is any good at that. So